Whispers in the Dust, The Final Pursuit, written by Reuben White. Chapter 1, Descent into Darkness. Jack Ryder stood on the edge of the frontier, his silhouette stark against the setting sun. His weathered hat cast a shadow over his weary eyes that had seen too much and yet hungered for one last reckoning. For Jack Ryder was no ordinary man, he was a bounty hunter, feared and respected across the land, yet haunted by the ghosts of his past. As the winds whispered secrets of forgotten sins, Jack felt the weight of his years pressing down on him like the weight of the world. Each step he took seemed to echo with the memories of those he had hunted, their faces etched into his mind like scars on his soul. But there was one face that haunted him above all others, the face of Elijah Blackheart Kane. Blackheart was a legend in his own right, a man as infamous for his deeds as he was elusive in his capture. For years, Jack had pursued him across the unforgiving expanse of the frontier, driven by a thirst for justice and redemption. But now, as age crept upon him like a silent predator, Jack knew that his time was running out. With a heavy heart and a resolve as unyielding as the iron in his veins, Jack set out on what he knew would be his final mission, to bring Blackheart to justice once and for all. The thought of facing the outlaw sent a shiver down Jack's spine, for he knew that the road ahead would be fraught with danger and uncertainty. But it was not just the prospect of facing Blackheart that troubled Jack, it was the demons that lurked within his own mind, the memories that clawed at him like vengeful spirits. For Jack was a haunted man, haunted by the ghosts of his past and the choices that had led him to this moment. As he rode into the fading light of the setting sun, Jack felt a sense of foreboding wash over him like a wave crashing against the shore. The shadows lengthened around him, casting him into darkness as he embarked on his final journey. And as he disappeared into the night, a solitary figure against the vast expanse of the frontier, Jack knew that he was descending into darkness, both figuratively and literally. But he also knew that somewhere in the depths of that darkness lay the answers he sought, the redemption he craved, and the justice he swore to uphold. And so, with a silent vow etched upon his heart, Jack Ryder disappeared into the shadows of the frontier, a lone hunter on the trail of his final prey. Chapter 2, The Hunt begins. The sun rose over the rugged landscape of the Wild West, casting a golden hue over the barren plains as Jack Ryder saddled up his horse and prepared to embark on his journey. With a grim determination etched into his weathered features, Jack set his sights on the trail of Elijah Blackheart Kane, the notorious outlaw who had eluded him for so long. As he rode out into the wilderness, the harsh landscape stretched out before him like a vast, untamed beast, its jagged peaks and treacherous canyons a testament to the unforgiving nature of the frontier. But Jack was undeterred, for he had faced worse in his time as a bounty hunter, and he knew that the only way to confront his demons was to chase them down head-on. Yet as the hours stretched into days and the miles blurred together into a never-ending expanse of dust and heat, Jack felt the weight of the wilderness pressing down on him like a suffocating blanket. The relentless sun beat down upon him, its searing rays stripping away his resolve and exposing the raw nerves beneath. But it was not just the physical toll of the journey that wore on Jack, it was the psychological toll as well. As he rode deeper into the heart of the frontier, Jack found himself haunted by memories of his past encounters with criminals, each one a reminder of the darkness that lurked within him. Flashbacks flooded his mind like a torrential downpour, each one more vivid and haunting than the last. He saw the faces of those he had hunted, their eyes filled with fear and desperation as they begged for mercy. He felt the weight of their lives on his conscience, a burden that grew heavier with each passing day. But amidst the darkness, there was a glimmer of light, the memory of those he had saved, the lives he had spared from the clutches of evil. It was a reminder that despite the darkness that consumed him, there was still goodness in the world, still hope to be found in the most unlikely of places. With renewed determination, Jack pushed forward into the unknown, his eyes fixed on the horizon as he followed the trail of Blackheart. For he knew that the only way to confront his inner demons was to confront the men who embodied them, to chase him down to the ends of the earth if need be, and to finally bring him to justice once and for all. Chapter 3, Whispers in the Wind. As Jack Ryder rode deeper into the heart of the wilderness, the oppressive heat of the day gave way to the chilling embrace of the night. The shadows danced around him like specters, whispering secrets that seemed to seep into his very soul. Jack's paranoia grew with each passing moment, his senses heightened to the slightest sound or movement. the wind whispered through the canyons, carrying with it a symphony of voices that seemed to speak directly to Jack's troubled mind. He strained to make out the words, but they eluded him like shadows in the night, leaving him with nothing but a sense of unease that gnawed at his sanity. As he rode on, Jack stumbled upon a group of travelers huddled around a campfire, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames. Instinctively, Jack's hand went to the handle of his revolver, his fingers twitching with the urge to draw as he assessed the strangers before him. But as he watched them, Jack's paranoia began to wane, replaced by a cautious curiosity. These travelers seemed different somehow, their weary faces bearing the scars of a life lived on the edge of civilization. Were they friends or foes? Allies or adversaries? Jack couldn't say for sure, but something about them stirred a sense of familiarity deep within him. Approaching the campfire with caution, Jack found himself drawn into conversation with the travelers, their words mingling with the whispers of the wind like threads in a tapestry. They spoke of the frontier, of its dangers and its mysteries, of the legends that lurked in the shadows and the truths that lay buried beneath the sands. But as the night wore on and the fire burned low, doubt began to creep into Jack's mind like a serpent coiling around his thoughts. Were these travelers truly what they seemed, or were they merely a figment of his fevered imagination? Was he losing his grip on reality, or was there something more sinister at play? With a heavy heart and a troubled mind, Jack bid the travelers farewell and continued on his journey into the unknown. But as he rode into the darkness, the whispers of the wind followed him like a haunting melody, their words echoing in his ears long after the campfire had faded from view. And as doubt gnawed at his sanity and uncertainty clouded his thoughts, Jack Ryder knew that the road ahead would be fraught with peril and deception. For in the shadows of the frontier, where truth and illusion blurred like the lines between night and day, nothing was as it seemed, and no one could be trusted. Chapter 4: The Ghosts of the Past. As Jack Ryder journeyed deeper into the wilderness, the ghosts of his past rose up to greet him like specters from the grave. Memories flooded his mind with relentless intensity, each one a haunting reminder of the lives he had taken, the battles he had fought, and the darkness that lurked within him. In the dead of night, as the campfire crackled and popped, Jack found himself transported back to the darkest moments of his past. He relived the harrowing bounty hunts that had defined his career, each one etched into his memory with painful clarity. He saw the faces of the men he had hunted, their eyes filled with fear and desperation as they begged for mercy. He felt the weight of their lives on his conscience, a burden that grew heavier with each passing day. And he heard their cries echoing in the darkness, a chorus of voices that whispered accusations and recriminations. But amidst the darkness, there was a glimmer of light, the memory of those he had saved, the lives he had spared from the clutches of evil. It was a reminder that despite the darkness that consumed him, there was still goodness in the world, still hope to be found in the most unlikely of places. Yet even as Jack sought solace in his memories, reality intruded with a vengeance. A band of outlaws descended upon his camp like vultures circling their prey, their faces obscured by shadows as they leveled their guns at him with deadly intent. For a moment, Jack's grip on reality slipped, and he saw not the outlaws before him, but the ghosts of his past, their faces twisted with malice and hatred. He struggled to differentiate between past and present, between memory and reality, as the line between them blurred like the horizon at dusk. But as the outlaws advanced, their intentions clear, Jack knew that he could not afford to lose himself in the darkness. With a steely resolve born of years of hardship and pain, he squared his shoulders and met their gaze head-on, his hand hovering over the handle of his revolver. In the heart of the wilderness, surrounded by enemies on all sides, Jack Ryder confronted the ghosts of his past with a courage that belied his inner turmoil. And as the first shots rang out in the stillness of the night, he knew that the battle for his sanity had only just begun. Chapter 5: Into the Abyss. As the relentless sun beat down upon the unforgiving landscape, Jack Ryder rode deeper into the heart of the wilderness, his mind consumed by the darkness that threatened to engulf him. Hallucinations danced before his eyes like phantoms in the night, their whispers echoing in the recesses of his troubled mind. With each passing moment, Jack's grip on reality slipped further, the lines between truth and illusion blurring like the shifting sands beneath his feet. He felt as though he were teetering on the edge of a precipice, poised to plunge into the abyss of madness at any moment. And then he saw it, a deep canyon yawning before him like the mouth of hell itself, its depths shrouded in shadow and mystery. With a sense of grim determination, Jack spurred his horse forward, plunging headlong into the darkness that beckoned him like a siren's call. As he descended into the depths of the canyon, Jack felt a chill creep into his bones, a coldness that seemed to seep into his very soul. The walls of the canyon closed in around him like the jaws of a vice, trapping him in a prison of his own making. And then he saw it, a figure looming before him in the darkness, its form twisted and grotesque, its eyes burning with a malevolent fire. It was the phantom of his guilt and remorse, the embodiment of all the sins he had committed in his life as a bounty hunter. With a primal scream, Jack drew his revolver and confronted the phantom, his heart pounding in his chest like a hammer against an anvil. The air crackled with electricity as the two men faced off, locked in a deadly dance of redemption and damnation. But as the first shots rang out in the stillness of the canyon, Jack realized that he was not fighting against an external foe, but against the darkness that lurked within himself. And as he stared into the abyss of his own soul, he knew that the only way to emerge victorious was to confront his darkest fears head-on, to embrace the shadows that had haunted him for so long. With a final surge of strength, Jack Ryder unleashed a barrage of gunfire upon the phantom, banishing it back into the depths of the canyon from whence it came. And as the echoes of his victory faded into the night, Jack felt a sense of peace wash over him like a cleansing rain, a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness that threatened to consume him. For in the heart of the wilderness, amidst the shadows of the frontier, Jack Ryder had confronted his darkest fears and emerged triumphant. And as he rode out of the canyon, his spirit unbroken and his resolve unwavering, he knew that the road ahead would be fraught with peril and uncertainty. But he also knew that he had faced the abyss and emerged stronger for it, ready to confront whatever trials lay in store on his journey toward redemption. Chapter 6, The Revelations. As Jack Ryder emerged from the depths of the canyon, his heart still pounding from the confrontation with his inner demons, he knew that his journey was far from over. The harsh light of day greeted him like a beacon of hope amidst the darkness that had threatened to consume him, and with a renewed sense of purpose, he spurred his horse onward, determined to continue his pursuit of Elijah Blackheart Kane. With each passing mile, Jack's mind raced with thoughts of the enigmatic outlaw and the mystery that surrounded him. Who was Blackheart, truly, and what drove him to commit the atrocities that had earned him infamy across the frontier? As Jack pondered these questions, he felt a sense of urgency gnawing at his soul, a need to unravel the truth before it was too late. And so, with dogged determination, Jack set out to uncover the secrets that lay hidden beneath the surface of the frontier. He sought out old acquaintances and followed up on leads, piecing together fragments of information like a jigsaw puzzle slowly taking shape. But the closer he came to uncovering the truth, the more Jack began to realize that the mystery of Blackheart was not just about the outlaw himself, but about the darkness that lurked within every man's heart. As he delved deeper into the labyrinth of lies and deception, Jack saw echoes of his struggles reflected in the faces of those he encountered, a reminder that the true enemy lay not in the shadows of the frontier, but within himself. With a heavy heart and a troubled mind, Jack confronted his demons head-on, grappling with the guilt and remorse that had plagued him for so long. He saw now that his pursuit of Blackheart was not just about bringing a criminal to justice, but about confronting the darkness that lurked within his soul. And as he stood on the precipice of revelation, Jack realized that the true test of his strength lay not in defeating his enemies, but in overcoming the shadows that threatened to consume him. With a newfound sense of clarity and purpose, he vowed to face whatever trials lay ahead with courage and determination, knowing that only by embracing the light could he banish the darkness once and for all. And so, with the wind at his back and the sun on his face, Jack Ryder rode forth into the unknown, his spirit unbroken and his resolve unwavering. For in the heart of the wilderness, amidst the shadows of the frontier, he had found the strength to confront his darkest fears and emerge victorious. And as he continued his pursuit of Blackheart, he knew that no matter what lay ahead, he would face it with the courage of a man who had stared into the abyss and emerged stronger for it. Chapter 7, The Final Confrontation. The sun hung low in the sky as Jack Ryder rode into the deserted ghost town, his eyes scanning the dilapidated buildings for any sign of movement. The air was heavy with anticipation, a palpable tension that seemed to crackle with the promise of violence. And there, at the far end of the dusty main street, stood Elijah Blackheart Kane, his figure silhouetted against the dying light of day. With a cold smile playing at the corners of his lips, he beckoned Jack forward, his eyes burning with a fierce intensity that sent a shiver down Jack's spine. As Jack dismounted and approached, he felt a knot forming in the pit of his stomach, a sense of dread that threatened to overwhelm him. For he knew this would be no ordinary showdown, no clash of guns and steel, but a battle of wills, a psychological duel to the death. With a steely resolve, Jack squared his shoulders and met Blackheart's gaze head-on, his hand hovering over the handle of his revolver. The two men stood locked in a deadly embrace, the tension between them thick enough to cut with a knife. And then, without warning, the first shot rang out, breaking the silence like a thunderclap. In an instant, the deserted streets erupted into chaos as Jack and Blackheart exchanged gunfire with a ferocity that bordered on madness. But amidst the chaos, there was a deeper battle being waged, a battle for the very soul of each man. As they circled each other like predators stalking their prey, Jack and Blackheart confronted their inner demons with a courage born of desperation. Memories flooded Jack's mind like a torrential downpour, each one a painful reminder of the lives he had taken and the darkness that lurked within him. But with each passing moment, he felt a sense of clarity washing over him, a realization that his past did not define him, that he was more than the sum of his mistakes. And then, in a moment of clarity, Jack saw Blackheart for what he truly was, not a fearsome outlaw, but a broken man consumed by his demons. With a newfound understanding, Jack lowered his gun and reached out a hand in peace, offering forgiveness where there had once been only vengeance. As the last rays of sunlight faded from the sky, Jack Ryder and Elijah Blackheart Kane stood together in the deserted ghost town, their weapons cast aside like the shackles of their past. For in that moment, they had both found redemption, a chance to leave behind the darkness that had haunted them for so long and embrace the light of a new day. Chapter 8. Riding into the sunset. The dust settled in the deserted ghost town, the echoes of gunfire fading into the stillness of the evening. Jack Ryder stood amidst the wreckage of his final confrontation with Elijah Blackheart Kane, his breath ragged and his heart heavy with the weight of what had transpired. But despite the toll that the ordeal had taken on him, Jack emerged victorious, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity. He had confronted his inner demons and emerged stronger for it, a man transformed by his journey through the shadows of the frontier. As the last rays of sunlight bathed the landscape in a golden hue, Jack mounted his horse and prepared to ride off into the sunset, leaving behind the ghosts of his past and embracing the promise of a new beginning. For in that moment, he knew that he had found redemption, a chance to leave behind the darkness that had haunted him for so long and embrace the light of a new day. With a sense of peace settling over him like a warm blanket, Jack urged his horse forward, the rhythmic sound of hoofbeats echoing in the stillness of the evening. Behind him, the deserted ghost town faded into the distance, a silent testament to the battles that had been fought and the lives that had been lost. But ahead of him lay the open road, stretching out before him like a blank canvas waiting to be painted with the colors of a new adventure. As Jack rode into the sunset, he felt a sense of freedom wash over him, a feeling of liberation that he had not felt in years. For in that moment, Jack Ryder was no longer bound by the chains of his past, no longer shackled by the burdens of his guilt and remorse. He was a free man, a wanderer on the winds of fate, destined for parts unknown and adventures untold. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the landscape, Jack knew that no matter what lay ahead, he would face it with courage and determination, guided by the light of redemption that burned within his soul. For in the end, it was not the shadows of the frontier that defined him, but the light that shone through the darkness, illuminating the path to a brighter tomorrow. And as Jack Ryder rode off into the sunset, leaving behind the ghosts of his past and embracing the promise of a new beginning, he knew that the journey was far from over. If you are enjoying the Mystery Within channel, hit the subscribe, follow, or like buttons for future posts.